I don't think I'd be playing if it wasn't for Bev. I think quite a few of us would say the same thing because she was the one that was courting us. So Beverly was on the amateur tour, as I was. So I used to bump into Bev quite a bit, but we were never like best friends. It wasn't only until really we were turning professional because Beverly was the one that instigated us to meet behind the West Sussex Golf Club in a little hut. And this is where we started discussing about turning professional. There's about 6 or 8 of us who had no idea that this was really going to happen. So it was Beverly that was instigating and keeping in touch with us. Obviously, in those days, don't forget, we didn't have mobile phones. So we were on a little phone in the country somewhere, phoning one another, because we were from different parts of England. On the tour, she became like our godmother. She was our listening ear. She was always concerned how we were feeling. She was married to a wonderful man called Ken. They were childhood sweethearts before they got married. And Ben was an illustrator, and he used to do some nice little drawings of us golfers. She became the chairman of the WPGA, which was the Women's Professional Golfing Association in those days. And she was chairman from 87 till 89, I believe. She took over from Viv Saunders. And she was an amazing chairman. She always handled us really well, who we would play with in the pro-ams. She would always make sure that we knew what we were doing and we were in the right place at the right time. Again, she would organise lifts for people if they didn't have a car. So she was just the godmother. She was just amazing, and we all loved her very much.
How did she find to contact you? She'd known you from the amateur circuit, so was she just going through, oh, I've met Jane before, I'll reach out to her?
I think that's how it happened, but I was very close to Chris Langford and Jenny Lee Smith, who both turned pro already, and I was in awe of them for doing that. And obviously she knew Jenny very well. So I think it was like worth asking Jane, it's worth asking Kathy Panton, we were sort of the young ones, but we were home internationals as well. We were playing for England and Scotland and Wales, Pamchug. So it was us that was asked to go to this meeting. So we were interested. It wasn't known that we wanted to turn professional, but it was just a great thing to do. And then she kept in touch with us as well as to how the tour was moving forward with Barry Edwards, who was our executive director. And then we heard, I think it was in September, that Carlsberg were going to sponsor us. So we all had this meeting. This was the first time us girls got together, was in October down in Northampton at Carlsberg's offices. And that's where we decided this is it. And then obviously the Belfry, where the PGA was, that's another meeting point that we used to meet up as well, which Bev would instigate and prepare for us. I remember having meetings in London. I became part of the committee, which Bev was chairman of. Yeah, it was amazing. She played a huge part in us turning professional. And from that, we were trying to get other girls to turn professional as well. So she might tell us, go and see so-and-so and see what they feel. You know, we were gentle about it. Because it was a big thing for us to turn pro, especially, you know, coming away from the amateur circuit, which you respected hugely and didn't really want to upset them, but it was going to upset them. But in the end, it all turned out amazingly. And we do owe a huge amount, all of us owe a huge amount to Beverly and her husband, Kev.
Can you remember what Bev said to you, that first conversation when she was trying to persuade you to turn pro?
Beverly was a very quiet-spoken lady, someone that you respected hugely. You never knew whether you could pull her leg or not. So when we had this meeting, it was very serious. But in the end, we began to realise that this situation was going to happen and that she was going to help us do it. And then the sense of humour came in. So we had a good time growing the tournaments and growing the sponsorships and seeing the tour grow. And Beverly was like a huge influence on us to do that.
Can you remember how Beverly kind of got involved in the WPGA setup? Was it her role and only role was to kind of round up people to join?
I think initially Beverly was, I don't know why it was Beverly, but it was, that surrounded us and got us to get together. But her role just grew. I think because she was like the godmother, I think she was the obvious role for being the chairman of the WPGA. I think she grew into it. I don't think she looked at that's what she was going to do. I think Viv most probably did ask her because she could see how effective she was with us.
Why do you think Bev was so keen to be a big part of the WPGA? Did she ever have aspirations to be pro in America? Or
Not in America, but she played in the Colgate at Sunningdale, and she saw these professional women, and I think that she felt that Europe deserved to do this. Obviously, we started in Britain, but yes, I think her aspirations were to see this grow before she became chairman, obviously. So yes, it was in her mind, it was in her setup to do this.
so Bev was chairman twice. So I have here in 1981 and 1987. Do you know why she stopped being the chairman first and then left it for a number of years and then went back to it?
I'm not sure. There were whispers that something wasn't working quite right within the management. And I know I was asked the question, oh, do you believe that this could happen? You need to be team players. You need to be honest and you need to stick together no matter what. And I think Bev was instrumental in mending whatever was going wrong because there was a bit of a feeling of a split.
When she came back, what was different? Why did she come back?
I think she just came back because we needed a chairman. And she came back and fixed everything. The godmother.
Was she always kind of the unofficial chairman when she wasn't official? Was she always kind of doing that role?
No.
Just because that's what she was like? Or
Beverly was always incredibly professional, but she was a person that you would turn to because we were quite young. Going off to Northern Ireland, going off to Switzerland. And in nowadays terms, she was the welfare officer. She was, everybody's friend and everybody could speak to her.
what was Bev like as a player? As a great person, but as a player, what was she like?
Beverly worked really hard at her golf and she was a consistent player. She won a couple of tournaments, I know, which was amazing. The more she played, the more she grew as well, being a professional. That's a step from amateur being a professional. You don't know it until you're in it, but your game just literally raises to the event. And hers definitely did. She was a very, what I call a steady player. She didn't do anything like hugely wrong. She was a good down the middle, good short game, good putter. So she was always there.
So it sounds like her playing style was similar to how she was as a person then. Just
Good, steady, solid person, yeah.
So Bev's 2 wins. First one was Volvo in Sweden. Were you playing in that tournament?
Yes, I was.
So after Bev put in so much to making the tour what it was then and what it is now, to be fair, what was her emotions like then? Can you remember? Was it like a wow, I've done it?
It was a huge success. We were all absolutely thrilled that she won that tournament. She so deserved it. Yeah, I do remember we opened champagne and she doesn't drink, but she did have a glass of champagne after that.
And then the second win?
Yes, she had another win in Middlesbrough, that's correct, where everyone was very, very happy again. I think we're always happy that anybody won, but especially her, because she did so much for us.
What standout memories can you tell me of you and Bev?
I think, if we had low points, which we're all human, we all do, Bev was always the one that I could go and turn to and say, I feel this. And she would listen and she would advise and she would just support you. But she was a great character. She had the best sense of humour ever, the jokes that she used to tell us, and Ken. And I think there's one thing I will always remember, and I remember seeing her just before she passed away, was Ken always had a packet of Rolos, and he would always give me his last Rolo, and it became a joke. So I used to have lots of really happy memories of her.
Brilliant. Did you keep in touch after she retired?
Yes, we kept in touch. I'd see her from time to time. She used to work with the BBC, and Sandra, my bestie, used to come over and work with Beverly, so I'd meet up there with her as well. And I think she lived in Essex. It was Essex. So Bridget Cooper, a lovely girl who was very close with Beverly as well, and Jenny Lee Smith too. Just beautiful people.
So yeah, in her post-playing career, she moved into coaching. You just mentioned the BBC presenting, so she become the first women's captain of the PGA and then one of 2 women to get the title of master coach at the PGA. What does that kind of say about her character to push down another door?
She was like groundbreaking. The first ladies captain of the PGA was quite something. Something you never ever thought would happen. But it was Beverly, so well deserved, amazing. I always thought she would get the MBE.
Did you ever speak to Beverly about her plans, what she would like to do when she retired? Did she ever have a vision of potentially being the first ladies captain of the PGA and also getting to where she did on the coaching level?
Beverly was a person, I think, of not an opportunist. I think Beverly just grew into every role that she got, and so deservedly. I don't think she ever looked to set out, I want to be First Lady Captain of the PGA. She definitely wouldn't have been that person, but she got it through being deserved to get it. And the same as everything else, if she was going to do something, it would be done properly. Her teaching, her writing, she wrote in golf monthlies and advising how people can improve their golf, and she was a real giver.
Was Bev a pioneer in women's golf?
I think Bev was definitely a pioneering of the ladies' golf. I don't think I'd be playing if it wasn't for Bev. I think quite a few of us would say the same thing, because she was the one that was courting us. She was the one that was encouraging us to do this. So yeah, she holds a huge part in my life of being a professional golfer.
What do you think Bev would make of the LET today?
I think Bev would be really, really proud of them. They're very professional, lovely girls. The girls I met in Ireland I thought were great. And I really just wish them all the best, as Bev would. And I really hope that they stay together, work hard, make sure they look after their sponsors, and just be grateful for every day.